Good evening, everybody. Kevin J. Johnston here. This is the Tax and Money Show, episode number 46. Today is January the 14th of 2025, and we need to talk about huge tax mistakes you must stop making now. So a couple things that we do want to cover, everyone, is what some of the so-called professional tax people out there would tell you that taxation mistakes are in Canada. And then I'm going to talk about what I know the real mistakes are, because I'm going to correct everything that these major articles say. And I'm going to correct the way that you think about how the Canada Revenue Agency, and for some of my American friends, how the IRS thinks about taxes. Now, the vast majority of what I do is Canadian taxes, because I've been studying Canadian tax law for 14 years. But I've also now been studying American corporate tax law for the better part of a year, and I'm getting pretty good at it. So, everybody, I'd like, if you're watching, please share, please like, please make sure that everyone you know knows about this show, because absolutely everybody out there has some type of tax problem in Canada, especially. The reason being is that the Canadian government has gone out of its way to mandate to all of its staff at the CRA to just steal as much money as possible from every single Canadian out there. So if you're wondering why your tax bills in Canada keep getting bigger, is because there is a mandate to steal money from Canadians. One of the biggest points I want to make here, and I'll be checking your questions in a second, folks. One of the big reasons why is that Canada used to make a boatload of money off of corporate tax. Back in 2013, Canada made over $540 billion in corporate income tax alone. It's less than $54 billion now. It's 10% of what it used to be. So where do they make up that shortfall? Income tax. They are lying to Canadians about goods and services tax that you may owe. They're lying to all of you about old tax bills that they say they have reassessed. It's all lies, everybody. We're going to cover that tonight. It's all lies. Also keep in mind is that every single city in Canada has now upped property tax, and they're going to be upping fuel tax and, of course, alcohol and entertainment tax. They're all going up in 2025, but that is okay, because if you're listening to me and if I'm your tax guy, you're never going to pay income tax again. You're never going to pay corporate tax again. You're going to keep 100% of every single penny that you make, and you're going to do it legally. And I'm going to explain all of that over the course of this year, because this show it has replaced my political show. The Kevin J. Johnston show, which is political, is over. I'm done. I no longer care about politics in any particular way. I've drawn the conclusion that my homeland of Canada as a country is completely and totally dead. And there is absolutely no money to be made being a journalist if you're talking about Canadian politics, because Canadians themselves don't care about Canadian politics, yet they're always scratching their heads wondering why their lives have turned to garbage. Is because you don't pay attention. Well, I'm only going to pay attention to politics in Canada so far as I can direct you on how to make money. Because I'm going to be like Kevin O'Leary now, except with hair and good looks and good personal hygiene. I'll be the guy saying, I just want to make money. I want to make money. But one thing that I say that Kevin O'Leary doesn't say is I want all of you and all of you and all of you to make money as well. And the way that you make money in Canada is by no longer paying tax. Just stop. There's no point paying them. Alrighty. We got some questions right off the hop, and then we're going to discuss tonight's theme, which is mistakes that people make in tax. I'm a US CPA moving to Canada. Is there a market for my skills? So I guess I would pronounce your name Vladislav. Would I say it that way? If you work for me, or you're working with me, or you're doing commission sales for me, yes. Otherwise, no. Because chartered professional accountants who don't work with me or for me, they're not getting work, because everyone's coming over to my side. The number of clients that I have now is monumental, because I'm the only one out there that tells you, hey, guess what? You're not paying tax this year. And then I actually get it so you don't pay tax. Every other accountant in Canada says, yeah, you got to kind of pay them. Yeah, because if you don't pay them, I could lose my license. That's literally what they sound like. I don't have a license to lose. I refuse to be licensed by any governing body in Canada. Pointless. And the best part about that is Clause 15 of the Taxpayer's Bill of Rights allows you to select me to be your representative. Plus, there's all kinds of case law in Canada. I don't have to be a lawyer to represent you. I just got to be awesome, which with my tax skills, I certainly am. So Vladislav, get a hold of me. We're going to talk about your tax skills. Okay, pal? Going to check your questions here, everybody. And then we're going to start covering things right away. I wonder if you could text me sometime. I have a couple of questions. No, Jack, I don't have time. I just need you to head over to my website. If you could, please use the contact form. Get a hold of me there. I just don't check my comments anymore. I do not have time to check my comments on any social media platform because there's always a chance of being taken down on TikTok. We've got something like 21 TikTok accounts now. I can't check all that. Instagram keeps taking us down. I think I'm just going to quit on Instagram and Facebook. I don't care about those platforms anymore. They're junk. One thing I've noticed is that TikTok started as a platform where you were supposed to dance around with special effects, and flush a toilet and get paid for it. That's honestly what TikTok was. But now, because TikTok is the king, the master of 60-second content, the vast majority of my client base is coming out of TikTok. So I'm focused on TikTok and Rumble and a little bit of Kick, and that's it. I really don't have time for the other platform. YouTube sucks. I'm done with YouTube. So please use my website, my name, kevinjjohnston.com, and get a hold of me there. Do you believe in the UCC private trust for Canadians? Yeah, so long as you're not talking to the free man on the land people or the sovereign citizen movement, those guys will get you in trouble. They're idiots. Yes, I know how to set up trusts. You can never be touched if you do it my way, but I do it the right way. I don't do it free man on the land nonsense. Those guys just get you in trouble. Okay, so for taxation mistakes, and believe me, everybody, I see a lot of tax mistakes in Canada. I decided to head over to a website called money.ca. Their advice is, they get some things right. They get most things wrong. But here is what they say the biggest mistakes are. And I'm going to correct them. And then we're going to talk about the mistakes that I've seen. So it says tax mistake number one is forgetting allowable deductions or credits. It's hard to know which income tax deductions and credits you can qualify for from year to year, especially since the government tinkers with it. But it says some of the more frequently overlooked credits include a non-refundable tax credit for the interest you paid on student loans, a tax deduction for union or professional dues, the $5,000 non-refundable home buyer's tax credit for those who bought a qualifying home, or a tax deduction for work-related expenses. Okay, cool. Now, the only one that they got really correct there is work-related deductions. There is a tax form. It's called the T2125. And that one there is if you feel like snitching on yourself, saying, hi, CRA, I had a part-time job. I made some money on the side. I sell weed in the back alley. I don't know. I was selling cigarettes, whatever. Please tax me. That's what you're saying on the form T125. But page 2 on that one are the expenses to make that money. So let's say you do have a full-time job. You make something small like $35,000 a year. Your taxable income on that's going to be about maybe $19,000. All right, it's not much. But if you have a part-time income and we add all the expenses to the part-time income plus the expenses for work on that form, the T2125, I can get your tax bill down to zero. I'll give you a prime example of how that type of thing works. Let's say, for argument's sake, you own a farm, just for the sake of argument, and you make $3,000 on that farm, renting out your farmland for people to graze their cows and horses. Cool. But That's only $3,000. What does it cost to put together a farm in Canada? Tractors, feed, fertilizer. You gotta shovel it. You gotta hire a snow guy to come and remove everything. Barn maintenance, electricity, internet, water, you name it. All of those expenses, the entire farm's expenses, will go on the T2125 form to reduce your income to zero. That's right. Gone. Now, I can tell you this. I'm the only guy doing taxes in Canada who's brave enough to do that for you. The rest of them will say, you can't really write off a tractor, because I'm a coward and I don't want to lose my license. Or they'll say, well, you only need grazing animals, so you can't really write off electricity. Sure you can. You can write off every single watt of electricity on that farm, because if you've got animals grazing on the farm, you're probably using electricity to charge your electric vehicles and drive around, make sure the animals are okay. And if the animals are going into the barn at night, you got electric heaters keeping them warm so they don't freeze to death, right? So absolutely, you can write that off. Let's say you get a part-time income, I don't know, blogging for a guy like me. You can write off the computer, your internet, your cell phone. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Your HDMI cables, your electricity. You can write everything off. I would put all of those expenses down. And if the CRA says, well, no, we want to see all of your bills, I will then put forward the appropriate legal letter called non-compliance. I'm going to tell them, no, it's not relevant. Under no circumstances whatsoever am I going to spend my time getting paperwork for you. We don't work for the CRA. So I'm going to send over the non-compliance letter and I'm going to threaten the CRA with legal action. And I'm not bluffing. If I tell them to get lost, you're going to accept the taxes the way that they are because they are accurate. And I swear to God on that, like I do this gesture and I write them an affidavit, then it's solid. Hey, Hal, good to see you again. It's solid. Nothing the CRA can do about that. This is why you come to me for taxes. Don't waste your time going to accountants out there because they will not do any of that for you. So there you go. The money.ca website, that's not mine, and they do kind of suck. So careful what advice you take from them. It's a waste of time for you to write off interest on student loans. Just write off the big stuff. Interest on student loans. Are you really going to hire an accountant to say, oh yeah, you have $19 of interest? No, man. Look at that. You bought a $17,000 computer. Let's write that off. All right. A tax deduction from union or professional dues. What would that be? $600-700 a year? No, man. You got to write off the work boots or the gloves or the full jacket. Let's say you had to buy a whole wardrobe for work. You write that off, the whole thing. You buy $60,000 worth of work clothes. You make sure I'm your tax guy and that entire wardrobe is going to get written off. Forget these guys. So I guess one of your mistakes is going to money.ca for advice. All right, there we go. And then they say mistake number 2, claiming ineligible expenses. It says taxpayers sometimes will do stupid things like writing off moving expenses. Yeah, don't write that stuff off. Okay, they got that part right. Come to me and show me what all your expenses are, and I'm going to write off all the good ones. All the ones that are legitimate. Every single legitimate expense, I will do so. All righty? Brownie, I want you to stick around because we're going to cover capital gains in the second hour of this show. All right? Right now it's 20 after 9. In about 40 minutes or so, I'm going to cover capital gains. So stay, watch the show, and re-ask that question. What does it cost to have me do your taxes for business and personal tax? The standard rate for us, if it's basic tax, is $350 per year for personal, $1,950 per year for corporate. That puts me at about half the price of chartered professional accountants, and I'm just better than all of them. If your cases are complex, naturally it's going to be a little bit more, but you will always know what the rate is going to be before we even start. And whatever the price is that I quote, that does not change. I'm not one of those guys that throws surprise. Yeah, there's 26 new charges here. I don't do that crap. If I quote you $2,500, it's $2,500. That does not change, period. So the mistake would be, you got to be careful what you write off. For example, if you were to write off pet food and say that your pet food is pet food, they're not going to accept it. But let's say that your cat is part of your marketing campaign. Let's say you stroke your cat. You say, this is Mr. Bubbles, and Mr. Bubbles eats my vegan granola crunch snacks that I'm selling you. The cat is 100% a write-off because the cat is now marketing expenses. That's how you write it off. Same with your dog or your gerbil or your snake. If you want to write off pet food, your pet just has to become part of your social media marketing campaign. And then I'm going to put forward every single pet expense that you have. And yes, Joseph, I do trusts. Absolutely, I do. So getting back to what they're saying here, ineligible. Here we go. Some students will try to claim student loan tax credit on interest fees they paid on personal loans, student lines of credit, or foreign student loans, even though these forms of borrowing are not eligible for the credit. Okay, fine. So you don't put the interest on those loans there. But let's say you bought something with those loans, you write off what you bought with the loan. Now, obviously, accountants won't do this, but I will. So you got to get a hold of me. Every expense you have, you show it to me. I'm going to find a way to make it work, because if your expense is even this much relevant to your earnings or your business, we can legally write it off. And the CRA, if they deny the expense, we're going to appeal their decision and we're going to smoke them in court. And here's the best part about tax court. It's free. You don't have to pay any money to appeal. So they say that mistake number 3 is getting rid of slips and receipts. Well, yes and no. If, for example, you were to toss out all of your receipts and the CRA says 3 years later they want to see them and you don't have them. If I'm your tax guy, I'm going to go through the digital receipts that I kept copies of, and I'm going to tell the CRA I have all the receipts. I'll swear an affidavit to that, and I'm going to submit that affidavit to the CRA and let them know that, sorry, guys, you're going to have to just accept what we tell you. Because the second that I swear it in, it's just like I testified in court. And if the CRA wants to deny that, I can sue them and win quite readily. Because what are they going to do at that point? They're going to have to file a defense and they're going to have to show up in court. And I will go on the stand and I'll testify to the fact that everything is legit. And then when they go on the stand and I grill them on why did you not accept what we said? That's what they're going to say. But here's the thing with the CRA. They typically settle out of court because they don't want to be on the stand. Why? Because I get to ask all kinds of questions about the legality and the legitimacy of them as an institution, to which, of course, there is none. Absolutely none. That is why if you look at case law with the Canada Revenue Agency, there's so little of it, because the CRA, they give up, they quit. They don't want to be in court, period. All right. So that mistake there is getting rid of receipts. If you're dealing with other accountants, you got to keep your receipts because they're all idiots. If you're dealing with me as your tax guy, you don't. It's that simple. By the way, here's something really awesome. You all know that my head office is here in Panama, the country, not Panama City, Florida. Panama City, Panama. You have the legal right to ship all of your files to me here in Panama, and I have the legal right to store them for you. And if the CRA wants to see them, they legally would have to fly here to see them. You'd have to give them permission to see your files, and so would I. because they're stored in my warehouse. And if the CRA agent shows up and they're behaving themselves like a complete maniac, being rude and callous and whatnot, I'm just going to say no. And you can take your own cab to the airport. Bye. Here's another mistake that the so-called professionals say that you make. Misreporting your marital status. This is what they say. This is not what I say. I'm going to correct them. You may not think of your squeeze as your spouse, but if you have been living together for at least 12 months, or you reside together and share a child by birth or adoption, the CRA considers you to be in a common law relationship, which must be declared in your tax return. Says who? Says who? It doesn't matter that they want you to. You and I don't work for the CRA. You and I do not work for any branch of government, period. We just don't. So your marital status is nobody's business, period. Once in a while, I'll have some fun with the CRA. I'll tell them, yeah, I'm married. And they'll say, what's your spouse's name? And I'll say, oh, Stingray or Slingshot. You know, like, what do you mean? I said, yeah, I race horses for a living and I married my horse. And what do they say to that? Because apparently, actually in Canada, it is legal. I don't know if you know that, but you're allowed to, because of Justin Trudeau, do weird things like that. But I tell them I'm married to a horse. And I'm going to ask them, like, do I have to do a tax return for my horse? And of course, oh no, goodness, no. They're embarrassed. They usually hang up the phone. You can mess with these people. You're allowed to lie to the CRA. You tell them whatever you want. All right. So you don't have to tell them your marital status at all. It's better for a single mom or any mom who's married or not in any way single, but in a relationship, to just tell the CRA, I'm not married, because it's none of their business, and I don't make any money, so you get the maximum child tax credit back, period. The question I have for all of you is, why are all of you so eager to talk about your personal lives with anyone? You have the right to remain silent. Shut up. Don't tell anybody anything, especially the CRA. Hi, CRA, we're married. Please take our child tax benefits away from us because I'm married to a man who makes too much money. Don't do that. No. Your tax returns are separate. There is no law that says you have to tell anybody your marital status. It's no one's business. All righty? So, everyone, don't do that. There you go. Do not take the advice from people that say you must do something. I'm telling you, you don't have to. You must it's a weird word, okay? And when someone tells you that you have to or you must, simply ask them, oh, how much do you pay? I must do something. Are we in a contract right now? Did I sign something willingly that you can show me my signature on that contract? I must. Get lost. Absolutely not. Do not report your marital status ever to the CRA. We will decide, if I'm your tax guy, we will decide what the best marital status is for you that benefits you the most. Because remember, if the CRA is demanding something from you, it helps them. They're not on your side. They're on the side of the destruction of you and the side of stealing money from you for them. There we go. They say here that mistake number 5 in reporting taxes in Canada is neglecting to transfer unused tax credits to other family members. Okay, they kind of have that right. It says, as mentioned above, individuals can transfer some of their tax credits to a spouse if they don't have enough income or taxes owing to make full use of them. In some cases, such as the $5,000 tuition tax credit, unused amounts can also be transferred to a parent or grandparent. Kind of true. But remember, if you're not going to report that you're married, then who cares about these unused tax credits? I am going to line up every expense imaginable for you that's legal to submit and just submit them all. So these supposed tax credits out there are really not that much of a benefit. It's a lot of paperwork to do. And if you're going to sit down with an accountant and you say, I would like to transfer to a family member an unused tax credit of $250. Well, what the hell would that get you back in tax? 5 cents? Then the accountant's going to ask you, oh, are you married? And you're probably going to say, well, yes, I am. And then the accountant's going to go ahead behind your back and change your marital status and screw you out of the real tax credits that you want. And that would be the child tax benefit. So these unused tax credits, they never help you because accountants don't know what they're doing. And accountants are deathly afraid of the CRA. And I'm the guy that the CRA is deathly afraid of. So I'm absolutely your better choice to do these things for you. Alrighty, our next one to look at here, according to the experts, is mistake number 6, missing the tax deadline. Well, if I'm doing your taxes, you're not going to owe taxes. So if you're a little bit late, whoopee-doo. It doesn't make a difference. But I do recommend that we get your taxes in before the end of February. Your personal taxes, that's all due, or sorry, your fiscal year end for personal taxes is always going to be December 31st. Always. So come to me. I'm going to look at your taxes. We're going to rifle through them and we'll get them submitted in February. Like, why wait till April? It's stupid. Just get everything to me and I will fix your taxes. I'll get them submitted and you get your refund checks back pretty damn fast. Don't wait till April and May. That is dumb. So if you have a bad accountant, you're going to owe money. If you have me, you're never going to owe money. So yes, it is true that if you go to a crappy accountant and you don't get your taxes in on time, they will hit you with a 5% penalty, and your really ridiculously bad accountant is going to say, oh, well, you got to pay it because you were late and I don't want to lose my license, so I'm not going to hide that money. Accountants, lawyers, yes, Klein, Chian, you're correct. Most accountants and lawyers are losers. They do not know tax law in any particular way, and they will screw you. And that is not a good scene. By the way, can we get everybody sharing? If you're on Kick over here, and if you're on TikTok here, just go double fingers, go rapid fire. Let's get the hearts flying up the screen. If you're watching on Rumble right now, let's go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. You can see right over here where it says I defeat the CRA. You just click on the thumbs up button and it all, look, guys, it all helps. And if you're trying to get a hold of me, everybody, please do not in any way, thank you for the kisses. I appreciate it, Joe. Don't contact me on TikTok or Kick or YouTube. I just do not have the time to go onto social media and check messages. I wish I did. God, I wish I had the time for it. Go directly to my website, Kevin J. Johnston, my name, kevinjjohnston.com. Book yourself that 1-hour consultation and let's get your taxes fixed. Do it all through my website, please. I beg you. All right. Thank you, Joseph, for all the likes and all the roses. Greatly appreciate that. And thank you to QB for that. Thank you, Robert, for the double thumbs up. Greatly appreciated. All right. So mistake number 6 is everyone waits until April and May. It doesn't matter if you don't owe tax. You can be late. If I am your tax guy, you will not owe tax. So it doesn't matter if you're going to be late on that. Okay. And for those of you out there who are asking me about this free man on the land nonsense, I am not a member of the free man on the land movement. I am not a sovereign citizen. I'm not going to try to play in that arena. Yes, I agree with you that taxes are illegal. I agree with you that the Canada Revenue Agency are a pack of criminals. Yes, but we can beat them in their own arena. If I follow the rules and the laws of the land, I get you all your tax money back. I don't have to play these silly free man on the land games. I truly don't. All righty. Just going to check your questions here, everyone. One of the other mistakes that the professionals say that you make, mistake number 7 is not realizing that some benefits are taxable. Okay, they have a point. If you receive COVID-19 emergency benefits from the government, like the CERB program, it says that it was taxable. Not really. No, it wasn't really taxable. But if I'm your tax guy, you're not going to pay any tax on that. Pay attention to your benefits, though. Sometimes you do get benefit payments, and the CRA, if they know about them, will tax you on that. But how is it that they know? Because you blabbed. You snitched on yourself by putting that down on your tax return, or your crappy accountant put it down on your tax return. Never a good scene, everybody. Don't help the CRA to hurt you. You don't tell them this stuff. If you came to me and I'm your tax guy and you say I had some kind of a benefit, do I have to put it down? No. Everything you put on your tax return in Canada is voluntary. Why would you voluntarily put that down? There's no law that says you have to put it down. And if the benefit helps you, and if reporting it is going to hurt you, you don't report it because you don't have to. But accountants and lawyers will tell you, yes, you do. And I'm telling you, no, you don't. No, you do not at all. Oh, my Lord. It's so ridiculous. I'm just going to, I know that there's a whole bunch of things that just got sent to me in email. Let me log into my email box here because there's a couple of examples I want to give of how bad lawyers can be. All righty. Let's move on to the next mistake that people make. Mistake number 8 is ignoring mistakes you made on previous returns. Okay, this one is a good point. So now that you know about the most common mistakes Canadians make on their taxes, you can avoid them when you prepare this year's tax return. But what if upon reviewing this list, you realize you made some mistakes in the past? Okay, I'm your tax guy. Okay, I'm your tax guy. So I'll find the mistakes and I'm going to correct them, but I'm going to correct them so that you don't pay tax on them. That's it. You're not going to pay tax. If I'm your tax guy, I fix the mistakes and you're not going to pay tax on the mistakes. So do not ignore mistakes and so on. Now, I'm going to add for you the mistakes that I know that people make. That was a list from another website. I just wanted to go through that because it's actually kind of a really weak list. Let's talk about mistakes. Big mistakes here. All righty. Medical. A lot of you are afraid to write off your medical expenses. Do not be in any way, shape, or form afraid to add medical. Everything goes in. If it's medical, it goes in. You do not have to tell the CRA what each individual medical bill is. And as you know, I have a medical corporation down here in Panama where the hospitals are better than Canada by 100 times over. The blood clinics down here can check for 142 markers, while in Canada they check for 5. The plastic surgeons here are better than Canadian plastic surgeons. They are cheaper. And yes, liposuction, stomach sleeving, laparoscopic bands, all that stuff is cheaper and better than in Canada. So if you were to come to Panama to get work done, you could write all that off. Because the invoice I'm going to give you is going to have very detailed listings of absolutely everything that you had done while you're here in Panama. So if you get your blood testing done, whatever the cost is going to be, you got to remember I'm marking it up. So you're going to get this massive bill that you can write off. I'm going to read directly from Canada.ca. This is verbatim from the government's website. Here we go. Medical expenses you can claim. To know for whom you can claim medical expenses, see how to claim eligible medical expenses on your tax return. Okay, well, I know them, so you don't have to look at their stupid list. You can claim only eligible medical expenses on your tax return if you or your spouse or common law partner paid for the medical expenses in any 12-month period ending in the taxation year, and you did not claim them in the previous year. Imagine that. So check this out. You're going to love this. Let's say, ladies, you have an OnlyFans page and you make money on it. And let's say, ladies, you come here and you get your breasts augmented, bigger. I don't recommend that, but you do it. I will give you the bill for the job. And not only would that be a medical expense, but it's also a marketing expense. Ta-da! Is that amazing or what? Yes, you can double dip. You absolutely can double dip on bills like that. All right? Good-looking guy like me, let's just say for the sake of argument, I went out and I got my teeth like just bleached white so that they glow. Absolutely. That would be a marketing expense. It's part of what I do for a living. If I came out here looking like a slob with, coffee stains all over the place and, snot hanging out of my nose and a broken tooth that's bleeding, you wouldn't take me seriously. So, of course, if I was to get my teeth done, I don't need to, but if I did do it, I could write that whole thing off. But if, for example, guys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, if your doctor tells you you got to lose 300 pounds or die, and you decide to race down here to Panama and get stomach sleeve surgery done. It's extreme, where they remove something like 3/4 of your stomach, but you could write that off because your doctor ordered it. And getting stomach sleeve surgery would absolutely help you lose weight because your caloric intake is going to drop to a minuscule amount. And now you're going to live longer. You can write that off. True story. You can write all that off. Let's say, I don't know, you get a hair transplant done. And all of a sudden your podcast starts making more money. Marketing and medical, it's both. We can write these things off. You just have to be brave enough to do it. So it goes on to say here, generally, you can claim all amounts paid, even if they were not paid in Canada. Come to Panama and get your medical stuff done. It's better here. I can get you an MRI in 3 hours notice. I can get you a CAT scan in 5 hours notice, maybe 6. If you really do want to get liposuction done, I can get you in the clinic in less than 3 days. It's cheaper than the United States, and you can write it off. All of it. For all expenses, you can only claim the part of the expense that you or someone else have not been and will not be reimbursed for. Okay, so let's just say, for the sake of argument, that, again, you work for someone else's OnlyFans page and you get the augmentations done and they pay for half the job. And you forget to tell me that they paid for half the job. I don't care. I'm going to put it down as a full expense. All right, there we go. I'm not privy to the private conversations that you have. I'm only privy to the private conversations that we have. So I don't care who's doing what for you. If I don't know about it, it don't go in. Real simple. Okay. If someone reports to the CRA, can they come after you? Not if I'm your tax guy, because I would also be acting as your legal agent, and I'll send a no trespassing notice into the CRA, and we will also go to the courts if we need to, and we will get a restraining order against that particular individual to stop them from pestering you. You do not have to cooperate with audits. So we may as well cover that one now. Here's another big mistake that Canadians make. You cooperate with the CRA. Why would you do that? Why would anybody want to cooperate with those criminals? They are criminals, everybody. All right? So an auditor, here's how it usually works. They decide that they want more money from you. They send out a bunch of threatening letters and you don't know what to do, so you don't really answer them properly. So they will send out a letter from an auditor, and the auditor typically says, my name is, I don't know, Jackass Jones, and I will be at your office on January 31st at 2 p.m., and you're going to have all these documents ready for me to review. The nerve of these people. My name is Jackass Jones, and I'm coming to your office on this day, and you're going to sit with me for 8 hours, and you're going to work for me for free? and you're going to show me all the innermost intimate workings of your business? What would make any of you think that you've got to cooperate with that? No, you don't cooperate. People let auditors into their homes. People let auditors into their business. People cooperate with. Why do you do these things? Call me. I'm going to get rid of the auditor. I'm going to record the conversation with your permission. I'll stick it up on YouTube for everyone or every other social media platform for the world to enjoy. And I'm going to send no trespassing notices to that auditor. The audit is over. I, in turn, will then tell the auditor, hey, dude, if there's something specific that you're looking for, you tell me what it is, and I'll do the audit. And I'll report to you, and you will accept it, like it or lump it. Too bad. That's a huge mistake, everyone. All of you think the following. If the police ring my doorbell, I have to answer the door. No, you don't. If the police ask me questions, I have to answer them. No, you don't. Look at all the YouTube videos out there where people say, I don't answer questions. I don't answer questions. Get your supervisor. I don't answer questions. Get your supervisor. No, you don't answer questions. You all think that when the CRA tells you to do something, you got to jump and do it. All of you seem to think that you have to do paperwork for the Canada Revenue Agency because they say so without compensation. Are you kidding me? I just told the Ontario Labor Board today, they're pestering one of my clients. I just told them today that you guys might want to just, fungu and leave me alone, because I bill my time out at $300 an hour. I'm not answering your questions. I'm not filling out your questionnaires. If the individual in question who's complaining about my client has a case, let's go to the tribunal and we'll duke it out there. And if you rule against my client, we're going to appeal it. There you go. So no, we're not going to cooperate. And then I get an email from these people saying, well, according to Section 91 of the Labor Act, we can come into your place of business. So I read it. I corrected them. It says you can come into the place of business between the hours of open and close, but you can't come in to the business if part of it is a residence. And you can't come into the business if you've been informed that the files that you want to see are not stored on site. And also, if someone says, oh, get out, they have to leave. It doesn't matter that they work for the labor board. It doesn't matter who they work for. If they don't leave, you call the cops. It's that simple. No, you don't answer questions. Ever. Auditors have no authority in Canada. They are not police. They are not detectives. Some of them carry these weird badges. It's this half wallet thing. And if you look, it's not even made of metal, right? And I actually haven't even seen one of those in 10 years. I mean, the last time I saw a badge, it was made of plastic. It didn't even have the guy's name on it. It was ridiculous. So just because someone says, oh, here's a badge and I'm something, something, something. I work for the city of Toronto, the city of Vancouver. Right? So what? Get lost. I charge $300 an hour for my time with a 5-hour minimum. I will not be answering questions until you pay that amount. Oh yeah, guys, you have no idea how many rights you have if you just flex your legal muscles. So that's a huge mistake that Canadians make, is talking to auditors. An auditor, even if everything you do is perfect, they're still going to tell you that you owe money. If the auditor shows up at your front door, get rude, scream at them, get off my property, and then call 911. I've got someone here. I think they're armed. I'm terrified. Please get the police. And then take down their license plate number and give it to me so that I can track them down. Because most likely their license plate number is going to be attached to their home address, which is also something you shouldn't do. And then, once we know where they are at home, I can phone them as your agent. I can legally call them at home and say, hey, what's up? Kevin J. Johnston here. I'm acting as legal agent for John Smith. You trespassed on my client's land today and you're uttering threats. How can we help you? Right? And I legally can't dox them. I can't just say, oh, by the way, everyone, this is the home phone number for this agent. I can't do that. But I can file a small claim lawsuit for $1 and put their home address on the lawsuit. And as soon as it gets stamped by the courthouse, it's a public document, and I can give that away for free to everybody. Come on. We're having fun here, right? These are the things that we can do. Is the Australian tax system subject to the same rules you're preaching? I don't know, man. Like the ATO, the Australian Tax Office, they're weirdos. You ever notice that? The Australian government is full of just weirdos. The Australian people are pretty awesome, but the people that work for the government there, they're strange. In Canada, the problem with our government in Canada, it's all just left-wing ideologues that work in government. But in Australia, they all have a superiority complex. And it's very apparent that they view themselves as gods. So the way that they speak to people and the way that they behave, it's repugnant, yes, but it's very unusual. So I have not studied Australian tax law for a couple of reasons. I mean, I'm so ingrained in helping Canadians out because the CRA, now that I know 40 years worth of information on these criminals, they're quite easy to deconstruct and defeat. Well, for me, not for others, for me. To get involved in Australian taxes would be quite the feat for me because I know nothing about Australian law. I only have 2 business contacts in Australia. And let's be honest here, the Australian dollar, that thing is going to crash hard. So I would be working for Australian dollars, to which the only thing that I could buy with that really would be Bitcoin, but at a greatly reduced rate. And, and the Canadian dollar sucks right now too. It just sucks. When I spend my Canadian money here in Panama, which is on the US dollar, I'm losing 32, 33 cents on the dollar. It's starting to really get on my nerves. So the only thing that I really buy with my Canadian dollars right now too is Bitcoin, XRP, and Solana. Wow. It's insane. What does all this cost minus your consultation fee? That's a good question. So the pricing for 2025 is definitely half what accountants charge. So to do your personal income tax is $350 Canadian per year. Your corporate tax is $1950 Canadian per year. But we do have some really awesome provisos here. Let's say, for example, you've paid more than $200,000 in income tax over the last 10 years. I will do it no charge up front. I will fight the CRA. I'll get you back between 50 and 100% of all the taxes that you've paid. And my fee will be 35% of what I get you back. So you don't pay anything up front. You give me 35% on money I'm getting back for you. You keep 65. Do your thing. And then I'll teach you how to save that money and invest it. All right. Well, I should say that tips, you never declare your tips, never declare tips, ever. You just got penalized for a late payment of source deductions for $9,900. Yes, Owl House, I can remove that for you. New service for 2025, everybody, because I studied the case law. I spent over Christmas, I studied case law on payroll. Here's what you're going to do. Owl House, you're going to hire my payroll corporation to do all your payroll. Yeah, man, that's what you're going to do. Okay. Here's how it works. Real simple. In Canada, here, let me just read the numbers to you, everyone. I'm going to do this for you right now. So I'm going to do it with the income tax calculator. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, you make $100,000 flat and you do it in the communist territory of Toronto, where all the freaks live. Okay, let's say it's there. So you make $100,000 a year. Your total income tax for the year is $26,136. So 26% is what you're losing. Now, the breakdown: federal tax $14,000, provincial tax $7,000, and then you've got your Canada pension plan and your employment insurance premiums at $5,105. Now, here's what really sucks. If you're an employer and you do payroll, not only do you have to give that $26,000 to the Canada Revenue Agency, but you have to match the Canada pension plan. So you have to pay the government an additional $7,000. And then you got to take the employment insurance and make 130% payment on top of that. So that would be about $5,700. So that's $11,000 more that you got to give as the corporation, as the employer. So the solution, Mr. Owl, is you get me to do your payroll. And here's the way I do it, is you will pay my corporation only the first part. That's it. Just the gross earnings. The website launches on February 14th. Yes, on Valentine's Day. And the way it'll work is you're going to be on my website as a client. You will have all your staff listed on the website. You will go in, let's say your payroll's on Fridays, you go in Wednesday and you put down Jack made $9,000. Steve made $4,000. You put everyone's income down. The website will automatically calculate the CPP, the Canada Pension Plan, and the employment insurance. And that's all you pay. We pay your staff. You do not pay the matching. You don't pay it. So that 11,000 extra dollars, you don't pay. Now, what if you had 100 people working for you at 100 grand a piece? Think about how much money that is. That's $500,000 a year just in EI that you don't have to pay. $500,000. There is a way that my corporation makes money doing this. However, because I've invented this, I'm not telling you. But what I will tell you is it's very lucrative for you, because now you're saving all of the matching that you have to do on your corporation. And it's lucrative for me because I can invest the money properly. I mean, the money really can't leave Canada, for obvious reasons, but I know exactly where to invest it so that when the year end comes up, I've made up all the difference on the money you didn't pay, and I clear it out with those idiots at the CRA plus my investment profit. So it's pretty wild stuff. And I talked to my criminal lawyer, had a great conversation. In fact, I don't smoke, but he insisted that I have a stogie, a cigar, for the conversation. So the two of us, we sat back douching it up, and having a good laugh about the fact that everything that I just proposed to you, Mr. Owl, is legal. 100% legal. So, do you want to get rid of all that stupid payroll? It's garbage. It's not. If you want to get rid of that, you get a hold of me on my website and it goes away. You will never deal with payroll taxes or deductions or penalties again for the rest of your existence. Let me just check the Facebook and the Rumble rooms right now. All right, we have no questions in Rumble. That's fine. Let's head back over here. Have I heard of the tax mechanic? Yeah, Randy, I've heard of the tax mechanic. I had a conversation with the guy. He was supposed to get back to me with an answer on a collaborative effort. Never did. And then the tax mechanics, I called them and I talked first. Okay. Hold on. Let me back up a little bit here. I came across tax mechanics on TikTok back in September. And I was floored that the guy says, hey, if I had $1 million, do you know what I would invest in? And I'm thinking, oh, he's going to say Bitcoin. I know it. And no, he did not say Bitcoin. He said, I would just give it to the CRA. Yeah. He says he would write a check to the CRA because he says if you overpay the CRA, that they have to pay you 7% back. Yeah, well, I called the CRA on that one and I asked them if I could get a copy of all their algorithms, which they wouldn't give to me. But eventually I did speak to a manager in Toronto and he said, no, they're only obligated to pay 3.5. And if someone deliberately overpays them and there's no tax return attached to it, they're not paying interest. So you give them $1 million, you may not get it back. What an idiot. Who would propose that? If I had $1 million right now, what would I buy? XRP, Solana, and Bitcoin, and just sit on it and chill. That's what I would do. If I felt I wanted to buy property, I would have a look at conservative Christian areas in North America, and I would buy land there. But I mean, right now in the United States, there's over 300,000 homes that are selling for less than $200,000. So I don't think that land in the United States is necessarily an investment anymore. It's a problem because even the Republican-run cities are being infiltrated by crazy Democrats from California and Seattle and Oregon and whatnot. And they're going to bring their stupid left-wing ideology with them, which they've already done in Austin, Texas, and they have ruined Austin, Texas. So I would not invest in Austin, Texas, or anywhere that left-wing ideologues go to. Not going to happen. Also, Randy, the tax mechanics, I made a phone call after I spoke to the lead guy. Is it Clint? I think his name, whatever his name is. After I spoke to him, I decided to call his staff. It took them 8 weeks to call me back. And I got this Chinese chick on the phone. Doesn't speak English properly. And here's how she talks. Oh, tax mechanic, how I help you? So I'm asking questions. Okay, we don't do that. No, you have to do your taxes. No. So I asked her, do you know of any tax shelters? Oh, no, we don't do tax shelter. No, you have to pay CRA. You pay your taxes. So then I asked her, if I get audited, will you cooperate with the audit? Oh, yes, you cooperate. We have to cooperate. That's the auditor, CRA, you do it. Hey, I recorded the conversation, by the way. You know, I should probably just put it up for everyone to hear. It's ridiculous. So the tax mechanics are a bunch of morons. And if you go to them, you're going to lose everything. You don't cooperate with auditors. You just don't. And you don't have to. That's all it takes. Okay. Here's another mistake people make. We're in the second hour now. So now I'm going to cover capital gains. Why? When all of you buy houses, why do you go on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and other social media and tell people? Why? What is wrong with you, man? Don't you want to have some privacy in this lifetime? I mean, I do. So you're going to go on social media and the two of you are all lovey-dovey and you got gifts and you've got the pile of furniture in the background and you're showing off your new house. You're just giving evidence away that A, you've got money, and B, you can afford to pay taxes. So the CRA is going to nail you for taxes. Don't tell anybody. If you want to pull that stunt, then say, hey, look at our new home. And behind you should be a rusty van. That's how you do it. You gotta plead poverty all the time. Be rich. Make the world believe you're poor. That's what the rich people do. You know, they really do. So with capital gains now, everyone says to me, who has a second property, I rent my property out and I need to know, like, do I have to report the rental income? No. Do you have to tell the CRA you bought a second house? No. Do you have to tell the CRA you have a cottage? No, you don't. Why do you want to tell the government what you own? No, absolutely not. If people come to me and they're telling me that they've got a rental property, I just, la, 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 la. I didn't hear that. La, 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 la. I didn't hear it. No, you don't have a rental property. You happen to have a secondary property and you do whatever you want with it. When you sell it, Don't get on Facebook and social media say, hey guys, look what I did. I just sold my house. I made $2 million. Why do you brag about what you make? Unless you're a public figure like me and a big mouth like me who makes money being a big mouth. Unless you're that, shut up about every single solitary thing that you own. Also, you should never have a house in your name. You should never have a cottage or a commercial property in your name. And if you got something cool like a collector car, like let's say a 1972 Barracuda, how about a 1970 Roadrunner? How about a 1969 Chevrolet Chevelle Malibu with twin, aftermarket twin turbos and nitrous oxide? If you have stuff like that, those should also be in numbered corporations. You got to protect what you got, man. So every single one of you out there that's got homes, contact me. We're going to get you a numbered corporation and we're going to put your home into the numbered corporation. That's what we do. Everything's got to be in corporations. Now, you're going to say, but what if we sell the house from the business? We're going to pay capital gains. Again, if you blab, if you tell the CRA that you just sold a property, sure, you'll pay tax. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, this so-called 66% capital gains tax in Canada, it's only going to be charged to you if you can't shut up. If you tell the CRA that you got it, they're going to ask for it. And that's one of the more difficult things to correct. It is. So if you shot your mouth off at the CRA and you foolishly paid a capital gains tax in the past, I can get a little bit of it back, but it's a tough one. So you got to shut up, everybody. In the corporation, when you register your business there, or sorry, your property, and it comes time to sell the property, just sell the corporation and the property goes with it. It costs what, $1,500 to have a lawyer just do the documentation for a transfer, because you're not doing a share sale. You're not going out of your way to do a massive corporate purchase. It's merely a transfer of ownership. That's all it is. I think maximum to do that would be $4,000 maximum. And if anyone's charging you more, they're a ripoff artist, walk out the door and give them a 1-star review on everything. If the person says, but I want to have the house not in the corporation, I want it in my name because I'm an idiot. If they say that to you, fine, sell them the house. Sell them the house. Contact me. I'll buy your corporation and I'll report the capital gain, and then the CRA can come and chase me. There you go. What do you think is going to happen then? If the CRA was to chase me for debts that I'm purchasing from people, do you think they're going to get paid? Let's be honest here. All right. So, or what you do is you report the taxes. If you're one of those people that feels really guilty and you think we all have to pay our fair share, you're stupid. I mean, if you think that way, you're stupid. I'm just going to come right out and say it. You're an idiot if you think like that. But if you think like that and you really want to report the taxes 3 years later after you've moved all the money out of your bank account. There we go. So capital gains, everybody, you only get nailed on capital gains when you shoot your mouth off or when you put it onto a tax return. And you listing collector cars, gold, silver, debentures, stocks, bonds, crypto, houses, commercial properties, trailers. If you put that stuff on a tax return, that's on you, man, because you don't have to do it. Make sure I'm your tax guy. And none of that's ever going to get done. Did I cut my own hair? Sure. Why not? All right. Just going to look through your questions here. Oh, and someone says I talk very fast. I seem nervous about this. I can talk faster if you prefer, or I could slow myself down, just like Christopher Hitchens used to do. I don't think that you want me to slow down. in the short amount of time that we have here. So I'm just going to keep talking fast if it's all the same to you. Okay, keep going here. What a great accent. You should do comedy. Yeah, I used to do a lot of Chinese jokes when I did stand-up comedy. All right. Question. How much goodwill to claim? That's somewhat reasonable. I'm sorry. Could you rephrase that question, please, S? I didn't quite understand that. Just checking more questions here. Laura Lee, get a hold of me. I can't wait to give you a hand. So you said you did some research and CAA class 14.1 makes sense. All right. Maybe you should talk to me privately about that. I'm still not catching on to what you're asking. So you know what you're talking about. Why do you talk fast? What is the problem with the speed of my presentation, everybody? Tony, go back to all my social media and watch the 7,500 videos that I've made or more. And you tell me if I sound any different today than I did 7 years ago. Come on, dude. For real. And yes, it's John or Chan. We Irish speak a lot faster. Oh yeah, you sure do. Oh yeah. And the Scots are even faster. You know, and when a Scotsman's talking, I catch every ninth word. Baby. Right. There you go. But I do love it when really good looking Irish, redheaded, green eyed women speak in that beautiful Irish accent. They can talk as fast as they want. How does one qualify for a mortgage if you aren't paying a boatload of taxes? Private lenders are a really good one. If you're able to put down 20% to 25% on your home, they don't care about your credit score and they don't really care about your job. Why? Because there's a lien on the property for the amount that you didn't pay. So it's not like with a private lender that you lose everything, but the private lender has less patience than a bank, and they'll force a sale of the property and they'll get their money and you'll get your money back on that. The other way is to talk to me privately because what I do is not illegal, but I cannot divulge to you here on this platform how to get a mortgage without a boatload of tax. It's entirely possible, 100% possible, but that has to be a private conversation. Sorry. Okay. John says, I had a payroll audit, told $30,000 in taxes and $75,000 penalty, froze bank account, pulled money. Yeah. Okay. So the CRA right now has been pulling a lot of really dirty tricks on people. And I got to clarify something for you here. The Canada Revenue Agency is not a police force, and they never get court orders except in extreme cases, which is rare. What they will do is they'll send you a letter, make 3 phone calls, send you another letter. If you don't reply to those 5 communications, then they send one more letter threatening to take money out of your account, and then they'll try. What they do is they send a requirement to pay letter to the bank. Now, the requirement to pay letter is not a lawful command. It's not a court order. But you know what the banks do? Oh, okay. Here is the money. So you can sue the bank for breach of trust, tort theft, and tort fraud. You can do that. You also can charge the bank manager with theft criminally. And you should. All of you should do this because it's not the CRA that's got the power to go into your bank and take the money out. They have no such power. It's the bank that gives it to them. So sue the bank and file criminal charges against the bank manager. If we collectively, as a society, all of us started charging every single bank manager with theft and conspiracy and fraud, and we put them all into the court system, how quickly do you think the bank's policy would change on giving your money away without a court order? And let me tell you something, everybody. I've had over 200 people come to me who have had money taken from them. None of them were ever presented with a court order from the bank because they never had a court order in the first place. The banks just give your money away. So, John, here's the deal. If I go back and redo your taxes, that's $75,000 right there, you'll get it back. And that's a promise. So get a hold of me. Go to my website, everybody, kevinjjohnston.com. Get a hold of me, and all of that tax BS is going away. All right, next. I'm building a home now. It'll take me more than 1 year to do it. Is it a capital gain? Sure. If you talk. If you tell the CRA, hi, I built a house, please charge me tax. And you would do that by putting it down on your tax return. If you just remain silent, or I'm your tax guy, no capital gain. You could be a house flipper and never pay a capital gain so long as I'm your tax guy. You got to stop going to these flake accountants. There's so many of them out there. So many. So get a hold of me. Mirzu, get a hold of me, please. Please define an extreme case. Okay, so the CRA would consider an extreme case. They've tried for like 6 years to get a hold of you, and you just don't call them back. They would consider that extreme. Because let's say, for example, you made 400 grand in 2015, and then you just disappeared from the planet. They'll try to reach you. They'll assess you for each tax year, assuming that you are making that 400K per year. That's what the assumption is going to be. So they'll give you this massive tax bill for $1 million, and they still can't reach you. So that would be considered an extreme case. They will go to a judge and say, we want a court order to force this guy to do his tax return, not pay the money, to do his tax returns. But that court order still has to get served to the person. I mean, let's just say, for argument's sake, you decide to move to Bali. Now, how are you going to get served there? Let's say you went to South Korea, where amazing plastic surgeons are, and you got a new face. You hired some guy to give you a new passport, and you got your fingerprints removed. You did all this stuff, your brand new identity. How would they ever serve you with that? They'll get you the court order, but you still have to be physically served that order, period. Okay. I'm just having a look here. Some more of your questions. No problem, John. Thank you. And Mirzo, thank you as well. Oh, corporate tax. Oh, I love corporate tax. God, I love corporate tax. You know, corporations are absolutely amazing. Here's another mistake a lot of people make. And whenever clients tell me this, my head starts to pound. We all know what the A word is, and the B word is, and the C word, and the D word, and the F word, and the N word. You know, we know what all these words are. The word dividend is worse than all of those words combined. A lot of really stupid and garbage accountants out there will tell you, hey, let's lower your corporate income tax by paying you dividends. Well, why the hell would you do that? I have seen dividends taxed as high as 48%. No, you don't do dividends. We do corporate withdrawals. Let's say, for argument's sake, in 2010, you put $1 million into your brand new corporation. Now it's 2025, corporation's making some money. You think, you know, I would like to get my $1 million back. So every year you do a withdrawal of 100 grand. Tax free. Why? Because the $1 million that you invested into the corporation was already taxed. That was your personal money that was taxed. You put it into a corporation. What the CRA is counting on is if you register a corporation, you're going to have staff, You're going to have clients. You're going to charge and collect GST. You're going to collect payroll taxes for them. They assume this stuff. To them, it's the golden ticket to have as many corporations running smoothly as possible. Don't pay dividends to yourself. It's insane, especially if your accountant is the one who insists on it. If any accountant says, let's do dividends, walk away. Fire that idiot. They're going to get you into financial trouble. What's also cool, everybody, is when you do the sheet to assess the value that you put into your corporation, it's cash, it's cars, it's office furniture, it's everything. Every single thing that you ever put into building the corporation that you didn't write off, you just put it all in to start the corporation, can all be taken right back out tax-free. And that's the difference between a guy who's not licensed, like me, who's a strategist, and the other licensed idiots who are afraid of the CRA. So everybody, don't do dividends. And as for a corporation, I got another question for all of you. Why do all of you who own corporations insist on paying yourself a salary and then paying income tax on that salary? Are you high? Is your goal to fail in life? Because if your goal is to fail, then that's what you do. If you have a corporation, you don't pay yourself at all. Why would you do that? The corporation is going to get hit with enough taxes as it is, unless I'm your tax guy. But if you pay yourself that money, then you're just giving money away to the CRA. You do not need ever in this lifetime to pay yourself a salary if you own a corporation. The corporation can cover everything. No matter what the CRA says about your personal expenses, you are allowed to live off the teat of the bank account of the corporation. Do you know why, everybody? It's not the CRA's concern or business how you run your business. Right? Because they might say, well, you bought food. Did you eat it? Like they ask these questions. Did you eat the food you bought? So in the CRA's mind, it's bad for you to purchase groceries for yourself to eat as a corporation, but it's okay to hire a staging company and then have it catered by a catering company and spend $150,000 on a buffet for your staff. That's okay. But groceries are not? Who are these people? If it doesn't make sense to you and you're a thinking human being like me, then don't worry about it. Don't cooperate with them. Don't play their stupid little game. One more thing, everybody. None of you should be doing your own payroll anymore. None of you. Payroll is a very big problem. 9 times out of 10, when a business owner contacts me to do their taxes, the biggest tax bill they have is payroll. And I understand. I'm not mocking anyone. I understand. I'm understanding in that if you're a plumber, you should be plumbing, is what you should be doing. Not screwing around with taxes, not doing paperwork in Excel and whatnot. If you're a landscaper, you should be out there making people's lawns look great, not doing taxes. If you're a doctor, you should be saving lives, not doing taxes. So, everyone, the payroll part of the business buries all of you. First off, you're busy. You're running your business. You're doing your craft. You're doing what you know how to do. You don't have time for paperwork. The first people that should get paid are your staff. The second people that should get paid are your suppliers. The people that you never pay are the CRA. But everyone's in a hurry to pay the CRA first, followed by Lord knows who. And there's been so many clients of ours where they've paid their taxes first and they got nothing left to pay their staff. So they lose their staff and they lose their bid. Forget the CRA. Contact me and I'll give you your goddamn tax bill. Just forget these people. The corporation needs to do business as a singular entity. What I mean by that is if you have, let's, for argument's sake, you have a car mechanic shop. Corporation A is a holding company. It owns the building. It rents the building to your Corporation B for $1 a year, and Corporation B does all the business. It collects all the money and the goods and services tax and the provincial sales tax. Corporation C does payroll. And this way, they can't come after the building. They can't come after your tools. They can't come after you. They can only go after the one corporation that does payroll. Assuming that you screw it up, which many people do because they don't have time to do it correctly. It's not like the CRA brings teachers out to your office saying, hi guys, here's how you do your taxes properly so you never have to pay us. Right? Imagine they did that. They would be broke. So we are just going to go ahead. We have, like I said, a corporation that does payroll for people. And as I've already told you, on you paying a salary of $100,000 to somebody, we're going to save you like, what, 11, 12 grand by just doing your payroll for you. And all the onus and all the responsibility and all the liability is on me and my corporation, not on you. So if anybody out there has a corporation and you've got payroll issues, you got to get a hold of me because your payroll issues are going to be gone. Within 5 weeks, they're history forever. In Canada, they know what you build on your property with satellite or drones. So what? So that's the question I've got, Randy. So what? If the CRA comes to your house saying, hey, you built a shed, you chase them off your land, file a no trespassing notice, file a restraining order, call the cops. So what? I think the CRA is well aware of what I'm doing for everybody, and they are well aware of the fact that I'm moving money all over the world for Canadians. They're well aware of it. Not one phone call from the CRA saying, hey, stop moving money out of Canada. Not one phone call from the police. Hey, stop calling the CRA and giving them a tough time. You know why they don't make those phone calls to me? Because they have no basis to do so. I'm the one following the law. They're the ones breaking it. So let's get things done the proper way. Brent says, maintenance enforcement came after me last year and forced my bank to give them $5,000. Brent, that would have been done probably against one of your tax bills. You got to let me know what year that was. I have to do the taxes for the year before, the year of the trouble, and the year afterwards, and that $5,000 comes back. I'll fix your taxes, pal. But you got to reach me on my website, not here on social media. Brent, you should not only sue the bank for stealing that money, you should be criminally charging the bank manager, which you can do at any courthouse in the country. Any one of them. It's called laying a private information. So you lay charges. That's how you do it. Lay charges. Shelley asks, is it impossible to get out of paying penalties and interest with the CRA corporate assessments? Hell no. Absolutely not. But if you're having, Shelley, you're going to love this. If you're having a great deal of CRA trouble with your corporation to the point where the corporation is drowning in debt, sell it to me. Sell it to me. We'll get you a brand new corporation. You'll start over from zero. You sell that corporation to me, and I'll fight the CRA on your behalf because it ain't your company anymore. It's mine. But you get to keep your assets. I don't want your assets. Couldn't care less about them. In fact, just so that everybody's aware of things, I know a lot of you think that with the money I'm making doing what I do for Canadians, that I'm living some kind of huge lavish lifestyle. For the love of God, guys, you know what I do in the day? I wake up between 4 and 6, depending on who I got to see. You know, I go to the roof, I take off my shirt, I get about 15 minutes of sunlight for my vitamin D. I come back downstairs, I suck back about 4 cups of coffee, and I immediately start talking to clients. Usually I finish up around 2 in the afternoon. I do a 5-kilometer jog to the gym, work out, take a 5K jog back, get showered up, and I see clients until it's bedtime. Right? So there's no lavish anything here. My work days are literally 14 hours plus my workout times, which is good because I'm not spending any of the money that I'm making. Yeah, and I live in Panama where my grocery bill is only $35. But Shelly, I don't want your assets. The point I'm trying to make here is I don't want stuff. I worked really hard to sell everything I own. I don't want crap anymore. I don't need it. Our entire lives can exist on a cell phone and a laptop. I don't need all the other garbage I had. Shelly, excuse me. Please get a hold of me on my website. I can kill every ounce of CRA debt on your corporation, every penny of it. Told you so says, I have the post office to my taxes. Well, they work for the government, so they're going to rip you off, dude. Thoughts on Airbnb? I use Airbnbs all the time. You know, I very recently here in Panama, I got to stay in a 5-bedroom house for $60 plus cleanup because the guy I guess he wanted $60 and there's just 2 of us. So we got this whole house. It was great. Yeah, I love Airbnb. Maybe what you're asking me though is should you declare your Airbnb income? F no. Absolutely not. No. Whatever money you make is yours. You're going to keep it. Keep your mouth shut about what you make. No. No problem, Tony. Thanks for being here. Can CRA close your account and take all your money out? Paul, the CRA will make a demand of the bank, which is not a lawful demand. It's called a requirement to pay. And they will, the bank will just give them the money. So why does anybody have money in Canada? Just out of curiosity. Have we not learned our lessons yet? I can get your bank accounts opened up in the United States. It's $2,000 US flat. You'll have a bank account with Chase or a Bank of Montana or any of the other state banks, you know, like anything. Your money should not be in Canada. All of it should be in crypto and in Panama or the United States. You're wasting your time having money in Canada. Please get your money out of there. Thank you, Relentless. Yeah, get a hold of me. Oh, someone says that I can't do a 5K jog. Okay, so I'll go 900 meters and I'll slow down and I'll go, and then I'll run 800 meters and I'll slow down. So there you go. Does that help? Do you feel better now? How can I get away from paying CERB? Oh, good. Okay, with CERB, I send in a legal letter to the Canada Revenue Agency about your CERB money that they want back. That was the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. It was $2,000 a week to Canadians, to anybody who applied, which meant a lot of illegal aliens got it too. And now the CRA has been told to collect it back. But they're just asking everybody indiscriminately. And because it's indiscriminate asking, I have a series of letters that we send off. And typically within 45 days, the CERB debt is history. Online Business Conway. Your company owes $60,000? Okay, I need more details on that. Please get a hold of me and we certainly can chat about that. All righty. I got a lawyer's letter here. I'm just looking for it right now. It was really strange. Hold on there. I want you to hear what these lawyers have to say. Christine, if you're in the administrative room, could you resend me that email, please? Oh, I found it. Okay, first off, I have permission to read this letter minus my client's name and minus the lawyer's name. This is the problem with lawyers. They know nothing. They know nothing. And they hate me because I usually beat them in debate, in conversation, and in court. The client was asking if they should keep a very large piece of property in their name or move it into a numbered corporation. I said, no, numbered corporation. You do not want to have the CRA with any leverage over you whatsoever. Numbered corporation. Done. Here's what the lawyer says when they were asked their legal opinion. I can certainly insist with the transfer of your home from personal to a corporation, but would you be able to provide me with a little more insight as to why you would like to make this change? You're my lawyer. Do what I say. Idiot. Do what I say. We're paying you. Do what you're told. It's like we're talking to children here. I only ask because the tax implications of owning real estate in a trust or corporation are different than owning real estate personally. Yeah, if you go to this lawyer, sure. If you go to me, no. Trusts and corporations are not entitled to the primary residence exemption, so your corporation would have to see, check this out. This is a lawyer saying this. So your corporation would have to pay capital gains on the transfer of the property. Says who? Says who? The lawyer should have backed that up by saying, according to Income Tax Act section something, something, something. But they didn't. You know why? This is a legal opinion based on ignorance, stupidity, and cowardice. Probably also trying to keep the client, because I think the lawyer knows the client's leaving. Additionally, capital gains for real property held in a trust or a corporation is calculated differently. For individuals, your capital gain is based on 50% of the first $250,000 of profit in the value, and then 66.7% on anything above $250,000. Sure. Again, if you go to this idiot lawyer, yeah. If you go to me, it is zero. Let me say it in French for you. Zero. All right. It's zip. Nothing. Because we are not legally obligated to tell the CRA, hi guys, I bought a house. Hi guys, I opened a numbered corporation for the sole purpose of holding on to a house. Please tax me. Shut up. Be quiet. Stop talking about your personal lives. It also says here, if you have not already done so, you may want to speak with an accountant before having me, the lawyer, carry out this shit. Why? You're a friggin' lawyer. You're a lawyer. The lawyer is telling the client to get legal advice from an accountant? You may as well get legal advice from a Dairy Queen employee. Better yet, why don't you just go to the first park you can find and ask for legal advice from the first squirrel you see in the park? This lawyer is a complete nincompoop, moron, like Bugs Bunny used to say, ultramaroon. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds funny. This person is stupid. So if lawyers believe that they have to tell the CRA about your property, why have a lawyer? Your lawyer is supposed to say, hey, I'm your lawyer. You ain't paying jack. And then fix your taxes so you don't pay anything. Your lawyer should say, you are not legally obligated to report this. So do what you want. You want me to transfer your property into a corporation? Done. Give me some money. This lawyer was literally saying, I don't want your money. And I'm such a terrible lawyer. I'm telling you to get legal advice from an accountant. I hope the lawyer that wrote this is watching this. I'm not going to give you the lawyer's name because I promised I wouldn't, and I keep my word. But I really want to. You have no idea how bad I would like to tell all of you, phone this moron and ask them questions like, why would you say this? I would love to say, give this lawyer 1 star on Google reviews and on Yelp. I would, God, man, I want so badly I want to, but I won't. I just thought you all should know that this is what lawyers do in Canada. They don't know the law. And this capital gains thing is not a law. It's a policy of the Canada Revenue Agency. We don't work for the CRA, so we ain't got to do what they say. Get that into your head, everybody. If you don't work for the CRA, you don't have to do what they say. You do not have to work for anybody without compensation. If the CRA says jump, you don't say, oh, hi. You get vulgar and crass. And then just call the cops. File a complaint. Question here. Kevin, are you able to only go back 10 years on taxes? No. In a lot of cases, I can go back as far as 15. In a lot of cases. So, yeah, that can be done. Not every case, because sometimes people's taxes are such a mess. Like, there's some really bad files out there that I can only safely get away with 7 to 10. But if it's possible, and I'll find out like right away, within 15 minutes, I'll know if it's possible. I'll just tell you yes. And then we go ahead and do it. Now, this is the big crescendo for the evening, everybody. This is the other big mistake that Canadians make when it comes to taxes. Estates. When a family member dies, why can't you be quiet about it? Why do all of you have to get on a Facebook? Oh, mommy died. Ah. Why do you do this? Like, you guys, you go to obituaries and you take out these half-page ads. Look, dad died. He's remembered as a waffle eater. Whatever. Why? What's the obituary for? It's to tell the CRA to come and tax you. You want to do an obituary, do it a year later. It's no problem. Everyone thinks that the first person you call when someone dies is the CRA. That's the stupidest effing thing you can do. Do you know when you talk to the CRA about the death of a loved one? Anywhere between 3 and 5 years after they have died. That's when the CRA gets notification. In order, when a family member dies, grieve. In ancient Peloponnesian culture, in ancient Greek and Roman culture, even the Ostrogoths and the Visigoths did this. If an enemy lost a key, like, someone up high in the upper echelon of the opposing army, if you killed their father, their son, their wife, their kid, whatever, you would be allowed 3 days of the cessation of hostilities to grieve. Even militaries gave each other 3 days to grieve. Take your 3 days, man. Grieve. Cry it out. This is what you should do. You're a human being after all. Why the hell are you on the phone to anyone? And it does make me angry because so many people out there are just so friggin' eager to get to, like what Crow was saying right here, to get to the money, that you make mistakes and you make big mistakes. When someone dies, shut up. Shut up. Make sure your loved one's body stays in the hospital until you can get a death certificate and get it from the hospital. You don't get it from the funeral home. You get it from the hospital. Delay the delivery of your loved one from the hospital to the crematorium or to the burial ground. Delay it. You need your 3 days to grieve, and then you get started on making sure that nothing goes into probate. You have to immediately take the death certificate, drain the bank accounts immediately, get it into cash. Now, let's say you're the executor and you know that your family members are greedy. Get the cash and friggin' hide it somewhere. You know one way you can hide it? Put it in a plastic bag, glue the plastic bag to the rafters of your basement, and then get a piece of plywood and hide the bag underneath that piece of plywood. Put it in the furnace. Turn the furnace pilot light off and put it there for a couple of days. If you have a private toilet, put it in the toilet tank, turn the water off on the toilet, glue the toilet lid shut until such times that it's really time to do something with that money. The house. You immediately need to figure out who is in the will for that property. And do you know where you're going to transfer it as the executor? Into a numbered corporation immediately. It should have already been in a numbered corporation. That's how you avoid that probate nonsense, but you have to get it into a numbered corporation right away. You have to find out if your loved one had a safety deposit box, empty it. Did they have gold and silver and whatnot stored somewhere? Go get it. If they have stocks and bonds, talk to the broker and say, hey guys, dad's dead. Keep the investment rolled over. Put it in my name. They have no choice. You do all these things. Then you bury your loved one. And then you keep your mouth shut, just making sure that you complete all the tasks, selling off what you don't want, transferring vehicles into your name or into a numbered corporation. That's better. Take care of everything. Make sure that at least 6 months expire before the CRA knows your loved one is dead. Make sure of it. Get that house out. And at this point, I'd say about a month and a half has passed, and you still have not talked about the death of your loved one on any social media whatsoever. And if you want my real advice, because everybody wants one-upmanship on everybody else these days, don't phone friends. Mommy died. Don't do that, because they're going to think they're entitled to something. My God, man. I had a lovely conversation with my aunt. She's 87 years old now. And her and I made an agreement when I was 15 about what I would get from her when she dies, considering the fact that she has an adult son, my cousin who's about 10 years older than me, and considering the fact that she has 2 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren now. So they're entitled to her stuff, not me. Yeah, that's my mother's sister. Her kids get the stuff. But we agreed in advance that she has a clock. It's shaped like a fireplace. You plug it in the wall and it glows red. I'd say at a garage sale, you might get $3 for it. But she said I could have that clock after death because I have memories of my aunt from age 4 when we would just look at that clock because it moves a bit and the wall would glow red. It looked so mesmerizing when I was a child. There's nothing but good memories attached to this $3 clock. That's all I want. So in her will, I get a clock. It's already written. Like, you can be organized, people, in advance of your own death. Be organized. Make sure you educate your kids on absolutely every single solitary thing that they need to know to take over for you. Yeah. One thing that I will say, and I'm scolding old people now. I get the fact that you're a little older and you're a little fatter, a little slower, and a little tired. It doesn't give you an excuse to be an absolute lazy moron doing positively nothing with your time. You know, one of the funny things I see is, remember the movie Top Gun from what, the 80s? The hot chick in the movie is the same age as Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is what, 61 now? Look how fit he is. I know he's crazy, but Tom Cruise is a good-looking guy that takes care of himself. The chick in the movie, just look it up for yourself. She's huge. She gave up. She just gave up, which means she's probably ill-prepared to teach her adult children how to take over, and the adult children are ill-prepared, so her property will probably go into probate. And you know who makes money then? Only the lawyer. So if your house and all your property is in numbered corporations, there's no probate. You know why? Because we structure this that you, let's say it's me. Let's say, for argument's sake, I owned 10 houses in Canada. Let's just say, for argument's sake. And they're all in numbered corporations. I would be listing myself not as director, but as 51% shareholder. So I control all the shares on those houses. I would then tell my kids, okay, guys, we're going to split the shares equally between the two of you. And the corporate bylaws state that when I die, the two of you split the shares. There you go. So congratulations, kids. You now own 10 corporations that in turn own 10 houses. No lawyers involved. The shares just by default go to them. Nobody knows. No one knows, because I pre-set this up. It's predestination. It's done. You can do this. You should all be doing this. So please, everybody, stop making the big mistake. This is the biggest mistake that most of you make, is death. For whatever the reason, our society in Canada, the United States, has become so weak that we have to get validation and sympathy and pats on the back from other people who just don't matter. They just don't matter. You know, I remember when I was with my dad. I've told the story before, but I'm going to tell it again. It's January 3rd, 2008. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. My father was on his last breaths. Just like he was just, he had already passed out. He wasn't conscious. His body was going through the motions of dying. And it was very difficult to watch. It was. And I watched him take his life. I felt the duty to be there beside him. It was just a duty that I had. And he took his last breath. His mouth opened for the last time. And I'm grieving. I'm grieving. You know, we had it rough. He and I did not get along when I was a kid. But we became pals in my 30s and my 40s. I was very happy that we were able to put the past behind us and have a great relationship. And there he was, dead. I'm grieving. I thought, you know, my mother was married to the guy for 40 years. I thought she was going to grieve too. Nope. She left the hospital room and called the fucking CRA. Pardon my French, but that's what she did. She called the Canada Revenue Agency. My husband just died. Oh, I don't want to go to jail. Get me the last taxes. That's the crap that went through her head. Not let me grieve. Call the CRA. So they couriered out an assessment for $25,000 to cover my old man's taxes. And she paid it. Why? I don't want to go to jail. First thing every moron out there says, I'm going to jail. It's annoying to listen to this. You do not do prison time in Canada for owing money to anyone. I know. I have taken $42 million away from the CRA in 2024 alone. Do I look like I'm in prison? You do not do jail time for owing money in Canada. So I grabbed my mother. We went down to the bank and we stopped payment on the check. We went back to my mother's house. I got on speakerphone and I let this guy have it. I told him, I'm the guy in charge. I have full control over this. I've got power of attorney and I'm head of the estate. I'm full executor. Don't you ever go behind my back again to someone. And the guy apologized. I'm sorry, sir. We jumped the gun. It won't happen again. And this was all on speakerphone. I hung up. I said, Ma, you see what I mean? He's afraid of us now. You got to trust me on legal matters. I'm so sorry. I know. I just don't want to do jail time. And you know what she did the next day? Wrote them a check for $25,000. Behind my back, in full defiance of me. Now I am the patriarch of the family. My intelligence quotient is like 60 points ahead of my mother, and she still doesn't trust the fact that I care enough to fight for everything that my family has. Went ahead and paid because she thought she would do jail time. Now, as men, we can't hit women, and I never have. But this was the one time that I really wanted to give my mother the back of my hand because she would have deserved it. I didn't do it. I did the next best thing. Rifled right on down to the bank. I said, I want the bank account frozen right now. You seize it. My mother, her head's not working right. I got a court order. It would cost me a couple $100 to do it. I got an emergency court order saying that my mother's brain is not working properly at all. I need to take over. I'm going to seize her bank accounts. I don't want any money out of them. And the judge wrote the order. Boom, straight down. I took her credit cards away. I took her bank accounts away. I said, Ma, it all sits there until we assess you and I tell you that your brain's working properly. And for almost 5 years, I just gave her $100 a week. There you go. You have an allowance. You're like a child now. Huh? You don't want to listen to me? No problem. $100, that's all you get. Yeah, she wasn't happy with it, but too bad. She was going to give away everything because of fear of the CRA. Don't ever phone the CRA when someone dies. And I'm going to leave you with this last thought, everybody, because this was a question that was posed to me by one of you lovely people about a month ago. So I started doing some digging. Every time I get asked a question I don't know the answer to, believe me, I'm going to find it. Yes! We can redo your dead parents, grandparents, children's taxes. Yes, it's legal to redo dead people's taxes. We can go back 10 years and redo their taxes. All we got to do is send an affidavit off to the CRA and let them know the estate is still open. And here are the correct taxes. And we can get your dead parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, all their money back for those 10 years. It's legal to do the taxes of a dead man. This is what I do. Ask an accountant or a tax lawyer if it's legal to do that. You know what they're going to say. So I got to leave this one last thought with all of you. Oh, hold on. I'm going to answer a question. Sherry, how could anyone treat their mother that way? Because she needed guidance. She needed someone to take control of the situation because she clearly was not in control. Because she's an old woman who is making decisions based on fear. And when you make decisions based on fear, they are 100% wrong 100% of the time. And that's the proverb that I wrote. That's why. So you can take your little emotional reaction here and scoot because it's not warranted, nor is it wanted. That's it for now, everybody. No fear. Get a hold of me at kevinjjohnston.com, and I'll make sure that all your tax problems go away. This show is the Tax and Money Show. It is absolutely every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here on freedomreport.ca and on TikTok. We'll see you next week. Have a great night.